Fences like this one are usually put up to keep people out, but from time to time there are fences that are put up to keep people in, such as the fences at Central East Correctional Center in Lindsay, other known as Lindsay Jail. Typically, for every day of the year, there's at least one Refuge youth incarcerated, and often more. In fact, Statistics Canada reports that in 2009, on any given day that year, more than 38,000 people in Canada were incarcerated in correctional facilities. Last month, I decided to visit 4 of the Refuge youth that took up residence in Lindsay. I had never been to jail before. My only experience with any correctional center was through television and movies. Beyond the cold stone exterior and high fences with razor wire, I discovered that the inside of the jail was as cold and as harsh as its external appearance.
It's the isolation, you know what I mean? Your mind starts screwing with you, the walls, you know what I mean? It's almost like they're just putting there's so much negativity in there already that like you're just all feeding off of it. And like everyone's in a shit mood in there. I mean, even the people that seem to be happy, they're just dealing with it in a certain amount of way.
Sitting there and just feeling like anxiety and always being on edge because you don't know if someone's going to say the wrong thing to you or if you're going to get in a fight over something stupid. People are always fighting in there, that's shitty too. And the worst part in there was when I watched some guy get stabbed, which was pretty crazy.
There's a lot of it, you know what I mean, depending on who you are. And like I've had to go through my fair share of brawls and whatnot. And people just trying to constantly test you, you know what I mean? That was how it was in the beginning and whatnot.
Perhaps what disturbed me the most is what happens to the youth and other inmates upon their release. I discovered that the desire to change seems to be proportionate to the time served in jail. That is, the longer one is incarcerated, the greater the desire to change. But when inmates are released and brought back on a bus to the place of their arrest, they often find that they have been evicted from their apartment, their possessions thrown out, and they're once again homeless with nothing more than the shirt on their back.
You got to go back to what you knew. You got to go back to, like, that's happened to me so many times. I was a drug dealer and I sold drugs. I'm not proud of it, never was proud of it even when I was doing it. Just, what else am I going to do? I've been on my own since I was 13 years old, you know what I mean? And it's not like I gave up instantly then. I stayed in school till about grade 11. I didn't even start smoking cigarettes till I was 18 years old. Like, just, I really tried and nothing seemed to work out. And then one day, a friend of mine got his hand on a bag of rocks and I seen what he was doing and we started doing it together. And we made some money and we took some falls and you get out and you got nowhere to go and nothing to do. You got to get your hands on some quick cash. So you go back to that.
Well, when you get released, it's like, what am I going to do now, I guess, kind of, yeah, like everything's gone. Like if you had an apartment, you lose your apartment, so you got to find a new place. Everything like you had going or whatever basically cancels out too. I don't know, like I had a lot of counseling I was doing before I went, then I went again and screwed all that up, so I have to redo it. That sucks too.
It's a really golden opportunity to get these guys to progress to the next stage of their life. If we had a place for them to stay, it would totally make sense. But we don't. So really want to be careful with the analogy, but you know, if you take a pig out of the pigsty and you take him off to the show, you get him all cleaned up, how long is he going to stay clean if you stick him back in the pig pen? The same reason our kids who get involved in the penal system, whatever reason they got involved with, especially with the characters that they're hanging around, if you put them right back there, how do we expect the resiliency? How do we expect that? How do we stop recidivism? I mean, all these are all big R words, but you know what? And they're really big, important words because that's what's going to happen. We can't expect these kids to all of a sudden change their life because they've been clean for 3 months, but you're going to stick them back in the pigsty? That's not fair. They need someone to come alongside with them who's going to teach them right from wrong, teach them work ethic. Those things are more caught then you can teach, and there's a big difference between catching something and learning it. And when you catch it, it's yours.
People who do good don't usually go to prison. It's usually those that have done wrong. However, sometimes in our personal or community efforts to uphold morality, we, through our actions or inaction, deem those that go to jail unworthy of grace and mercy. However, Jesus specifically mentioned the visiting of those who have done wrong and ended up in prison, along with the other actions of grace, love, and compassion in Matthew 25. Seems to me to have been important enough for Christ to verbalize and put into Scripture. And since this is true, seems to me that it is our job to extend mercy and grace to these individuals in the form of visiting them in jail, second chances, housing, and employment.